25, and 60. And then they have the kitchen here.
Which is 15 and 12.
So we could have done this and figured just this, which is not now 60 by 25. We know that if from here to there, it's 15, right? And if the whole thing is 60, what is from there to there? 45, right? You following us?
No.
If this whole thing, because it's a rectangle, if this is 60, this is 60, right?
Oh,
From here to here it's 15. Got it? So from here to here it's got to be 45. Okay? Now, from here to here, so we know that this whole line here has got to be 25 as well, right? Because that is. But from here to here would have to be what? From there to there. If from here to here is 12, and if the whole thing is 25, this has got to be 13, right?
Yeah.
So I could have figured 45 times 25 and gotten this part, then figure 13 by 15 and get this part. And that would have left that out anyway. And that's what I want you to see, is all kinds of ways to do that. As long as you keep making squares, rectangles, triangles, and circles, you can figure it out. So let's look at both ways. If I did 60 by 25, that's 1,500 for this whole thing. And then this 12 by 15 is 180. And take that from the 1,500, right? It leaves you 1,320 for just this dining room area, okay? Or we could have said 25 times 45 and then the 13 times 15 add them together, you still get your 1,320. You see? Either way. The main thing you had to know is some kind of way you can't add this 15 by 12 part to it, because they don't want the kitchen. And that's the kitchen space. They want the dining space, which is all of this. So you can figure it out. There's not just one way to do it, is what I want to show you. The main thing is that you know that you're not going to include that 15 by 12. However you want to figure it out. Questions? All right. I want you to read number 11 and do that. And tell me what your answer is. You need to first say in your mind what you have to do, then you're going to look and see which one of those shows what has to be done. Could it be one or two? No, because you know you have to do what?
Subtract.
Subtract that circle out of there, right?
Number 4.
So it's got to be either 3, 4, or 5. Okay, so 3 says 12 times itself.
So it will be 4.
That'll give us the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are we just going to multiply 4 times itself?
Times 5.
That's not the circle, right? the circle, to find the area of that circle, what is the formula? Pi times what?
It's 5, it's number.
Second guessing. What is the area of a circle?
No, times 2, that's right.
How do you find the area of a circle? Do you use the diameter or the radius?
Diameter, radius.
And here's how I remember how I can tell you to try to remember. Distance around uses the one with the D. Diameter. We're not trying to find the distance around. We're trying to find the area. So we know we need to use the radius, right? And what is the radius of that circle? 4, because the diameter is 8. You see, and they have the 8 there for you to pick. And Deborah even changed from the right answer to the wrong answer.
That's terrible, Miss Harris.
But it happens.
You said it's 4?
4 is the radius.
I thought that was right.
And so the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared, right? Here's pi. And what's the radius? 4 squared, not 8 squared. 8 is the diameter. Radius is halfway across a circle.
Right, I know that.
The 8 goes all the way across. So the
okay.
8 is a diameter.
Okay.
We don't need a diameter for the area. We need a radius,
Just half of that.
which is half of that. So they will give you a diameter, and this is what I said the other day, they'll give you a diameter a lot of times when you need a radius. They'll give you a radius when you need a diameter because they want to know if you know which one you need. That's why you have to stick it in your mind that radius is the thing that's squared. You never square a diameter. Diameter is just times pi. That's the distance around. If you want to fill in that space, if you want to get the area of a circle, you need radius squared. And so you need to know that you need to find the radius, which is half of the diameter. So we would have to say 3.14 times 4 times 4. Or say 4 times 4 first is 16, then multiply that times 3.14. That's the area of that circle. And you're going to subtract that from the 12 times 12, which is the area of the whole thing.
44.
Questions? Don't just act like you understand. If you don't, ask questions. Look at number 12 then. And they can be like this on the test. So that's why sentence by sentence, understand what they're asking, understand what they're showing you. You can look at the figure first and say, okay, that whole building is 20 by 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
The door is 3 by 7. The window is 8 by 5, right? So I'll go in there knowing, now if they're going to ask me how much paint they're going to need for that house, you're not going to paint the door or the window. So I'd have to do the 20 by 12 and then subtract the 7 by 3 and the 8 by 5. You see what I'm saying? You go into it looking for what they might ask you. So let's see, it says, which expression gives the number of square feet of the wall? Exactly what it is, not including the door and window. So which one is that going to be?
12 by 20.
12 by 20 and then what? Subtract what? 3 times 7, and then what else you got to subtract?
8 times 5.
And which one says you're going to do all of that?
1.
Number 1. You see? Number 2 says you're going to add the door and the window to the building. They're already in the building. When you say 20 by 12, they're already included. The next one, number 3, says you're just going to subtract the door. The next one says what?
The window.
You're just going to subtract the window. The last one says what?
Add the door, take away the window.
Add the door, take away the window. You see what I'm saying? You're putting words to the numbers. The numbers are not, it's another language. It is translating. You got to translate words into numbers to solve the problem. And then you have to know what the numbers represent. But they still are representing words. So I like the way you answered that, Deborah, when you said that you're taking away the door. That 7 times 3 now is just door. Anytime you see the 7 times 3, you know that's the door. Anytime they want to talk about the door, you know it's 7 times 3. Or, if we want to go around the edges of the door, you know we got a 7 and a 3 and another 7. The perimeter around the door. If you want to put a trim around the door. If you want to put a trim around the window, you know you got to go 8, 5, 8, 5. You see, all of that's got to come into play. But just like on these problems here for 10, 11, and 12, you didn't even have to solve it. They have the solution right there, but you had to know how you would solve it in order to pick the correct one. So you always have to think first, what do I have to do? If I say I have to, just what I asked you. You said you have to subtract the door and the window. You're looking for something that subtracts the door and subtracts the window. You already know now the door is 7, 3 and the window's 8, 5. You're looking now for something that's subtracting 7 times 3 and 8 times 5. It's just taking each part and translating the words and numbers. Okay? On page 251, let's look at that. And I had said before that when we did volume, we did the volume of a cube and of a rectangle and of a cylinder, but not of a triangular figure, because you see there, look on number 2 there, on 251. When you have a triangular solid, it usually ends up being a pyramid, and you have a triangle on 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, but the base is a square. And so they'd have to tell you how to find the area of a figure like that.